how to transform your pain for good. I have 3 ways to use your pain for good, and number 3 is my favorite, so stay tuned. I met with a client today, and one of the things they said to me, I want my pain to be worth something. And I thought, yeah, don't we all? Ask yourself as you're listening, do you trust your suffering? Trust it for what? Well, that's a good question. That's my question. Do you trust it? What do you trust it for? And most of us don't trust our suffering. When we suffer, we look for ways to avoid it or resist it, or we respond to our pain with judgment about ourselves, judgment about other people. But what would it look like to trust it instead of avoid it? Now, there's a lot of ways to avoid it. If you're like me, I have my favorite ways to avoid pain and suffering. Sometimes I just eat it, you know what I'm saying, biscuits or whatever. I just eat the things I like to eat to numb out my body, my emotions. Another way to avoid it is just to get really busy. How many of us are great at that? I get really busy, I'm always working, I'm in the middle of doing something. In some sense, it seems like I'm attempting to outrun my pain. I'm attempting to move so fast that it's not gonna catch me, or I don't need to sit in it or even consider it. It just seems like a threat to my survival. Sometimes it's easy when we're in pain to take it out on other people, not maybe intentionally or consciously, but it leaks out. And then other people ask, why are you being so sharp with me? Why do you seem so angry? You've ignored me lately. You haven't returned my texts or my calls. So how do you transform your pain for good? The first step is identifying the pain, naming it. What specifically is the pain that I'm experiencing? Is it loss? Is it betrayal? Is it judgment? Is it loneliness? Is it feeling like I don't fit in? Specifically name the pain. That's one way to start to turn it for good. Before we get into number 2, please like this video, make a comment, or ask a question. What would you like to hear about next video? Because there'll be more. Number 2, don't despise the wound. You're alive, you're with other people, no one is perfect. You will have suffering, you will have wounds, people will wound you, and guess what? You'll wound them, sometimes consciously, oftentimes unconsciously. So when you find the wound, don't despise it, meaning don't judge yourself as weak for having it. Don't judge yourself as stupid or naive or somehow make it your fault, turning it into blame. This wound, in the middle of it, there's a possibility, which leads me to my favorite, number 3. Look at pain as a resource. Now, this is not some Pollyanna type thinking, meaning, oh, just pretend it's okay when it's not okay. No, that includes entering the suffering. That includes being with the pain and being with the suffering and trusting it, and trusting that in it, there's learning available, there is course correction available, there's something new to be birthed in your life and in the lives of those around you. So the pain itself isn't ever the problem. Even though I get it, it hurts, it doesn't feel good, it's uncomfortable. The way we judge it, the way we blame ourselves or others, that's where we get stuck in life, and that's what keeps the pain from being worth something. So what does it mean to use it as a resource? Sometimes pain or betrayal gives us a window into our own blind spots, how easily we want to commoditize other people or use them as a utility. You might be thinking, I never do that. But if you did do it, would you want to know? This is the opportunity to look. I can't course correct what I can't see. So if I'm going to make any adjustments in my relationships going forward, the pain or the betrayal or the loss, whatever's there, can be information, it can be data that feeds back to me. Wow, what did I not see that I could be looking for? Not out of suspicion, but out of care for the other person and out of care for myself. Like, I'm awake and I'm paying attention right now. I'm asking questions I may not have asked before. I'm asking myself questions I may not have asked before. This is how to resource the pain or the suffering. Because if we don't resource it, we're going to repeat it. So, 3 things. Number 1, you got to see it first. You got to identify it. What's the pain? Number 2, don't despise it. Don't judge it. Don't enter into it with cynicism or blame. And number 3, use it as a resource, as fuel, as data, as information for your vision, for what's next in your life. If you resonated with number 2, don't despise the wound, I have a whole video on that, so check that out. And if you feel stuck in the loop of pain and creating more pain, check out my video, Pain Shopping, for some resource. Be sure to like my video, subscribe to this channel. If you ring that bell for notifications, you will be the first to know when a new video drops.